Hello everyone, so it's time to get ready for the debate. You have been preparing your arguments and bookmarking your sources to DGO, and now we need to review the rules and take a look at the rubric. And so come to the wiki, look on the front page, and you can go to either in the navigator and look in the folder that says debating, or if you clicked on the home page, you would get the homework page, you'd get the link. So let's click on the homework page and scroll down to June 5th, which is when we're having our debate. And you can click here, consult the rubric and the instructions, and you'll get to the same page as if you had gone to the navigator. And so what you have here is a page that I made on a Google document, and at the top of this page here you have a link to the document itself. But this wiki page here contains pretty much everything that you need for the debate. But I'm going to click on the link and go right to the Google document, just because I prefer to see it there. And whoops. And so here we are at the Google document, and let's take a look. So first of all, in this first paragraph here, you see that I've referred to the Philosophy for Teens DGO group, and I just wanted to point out to you, so I'm going to go and take a look at this group, that the sources that you have bookmarked here, as I've asked you to, have no views except for the ones where I've gone in and looked. So what does this say? This says that you guys are not taking advantage of the opportunity that you have here. So guys, you can see here that Jordan has bookmarked a site here about the Peace Corps, and so if I were on your team, I would want to see what she's looking at, because maybe I can guess what direction she's going to be going in for her arguments. And ladies, the same thing. Take a look at what the guys are bookmarking here. Cam's got something here in science and pseudoscience, and I would be interested in seeing what he's doing here. I mean, they're not going to reveal their arguments to you, either side, but you should be looking at what your opposing team is bookmarking to be really ready for this debate. And there's just a little reminder there. And so here we are back at our Google Doc, and here are the rules. So you can read through this, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I just want to take a little bit of time to highlight some important points. The form here, I'm not a stickler for the form. You're not going to lose points because you don't have perfect form, but you should be aware of what's expected of you. I understand this is the first time you do this, but you should still be taking a look here. So you stand to speak, and there's a formula, Madam Speaker, where the opponent's honorable judge, etc., etc. The resolution before us today is, and then state your resolution. The first speaker of each group must preview the arguments of Speaker 2 and Speaker 3, and so you don't have to. You should not go into detail and give away everything that your speakers are saying, but it's kind of like in your introductory paragraph in an essay, where your premise or the sentence immediately after your premise holds your supporting points. It's sort of the same thing. So you're giving a nod to the arguments or the points that are going to be brought up by your team members, by Speaker 2 and Speaker 3, without actually going into any great detail. And those first speakers are the only ones who have to do that. Any of the other speakers, so Speaker 2 and Speaker 3, at any time can refer to what their colleagues have said if they want to use that argument as a support for what they're saying. You can refer back to it, but only in reference, because you really have to build your own. Make sure that you use all of your time. Here I'm on point 3, because if you don't use all of your time, it doesn't look good. It looks like you really don't have enough to say, and that you're not prepared. Always begin by rebutting what the previous speaker has said. I think that's the best. You can do it at the end, but I really think it's better to begin your argument and your speech with a rebuttal. Always refer to the opponent as a worthy opponent. The obvious is never be disrespectful, but also disrespectful can mean don't appear to be condescending, don't cut them off when they're speaking, that kind of thing. I mean, I understand that we know that that's pretty basic because you guys have been practicing the art of skillful conversation all year. Point 5 here, whoops, this is an incorrect word. Yeah, it's actually 0.6. Now here there are 2.5s. Tackle the hard arguments in your rebuttal. So this is a little bit like when you're making a concession in an argumentative essay. And what I mean here is that there should be some recognition on your part of a worthy or a forceful argument on the other side. If you completely ignore the opponent's forceful argument or convincing argument, it might appear as if you don't know what to say to defend your point against that argument. So you should think about making some kind of concession. And then again, you can read here exactly how to do that, and speak to me if you're not sure, but don't do the ostrich thing and stick your head in the sand and think that if you ignore their argument and don't make a reference to it that that's going to work. It doesn't. It makes your point look weaker. It's important to be passionate, but you don't have to bang your hand on the table. You should be looking at your opponents, but your words are addressing the moderator. Always be rational, and don't ever lose your cool. Even if you're angry, don't look angry. Even if you're flustered, don't look flustered. Don't look overly confident because you might appear smug and even condescending, and that's not good. Remember that language is the most important tool apart from powerful argument. Your language is the tool for the philosopher. So begin by you be the first one to define the terms. Don't let the opponent define the parameters of the argument, especially when the argument revolves around key words and key terms. Remember that you've got your Google Doc open in front of you, and when speaker 1 or when speaker 2 or speaker 3 is speaking, the other two speakers can be chatting to one another in the chat and adding helpful ideas for rebuttal in the document itself. You may not speak out of order. You have a turn, and here is how the schema goes. So speaker 1 over here, obviously you go first, and generally there are it's a short amount of time, say 4 minutes or so. So if, and for us it will be longer, but if, say, the speakers all have 4 minutes, then the first speaker, speaker 1, will speak for 3 minutes, and then the first speaker on the other side, so on the con side, will speak for a full 4. When speaker 1 for the con side begins to speak, he will first begin with a rebuttal, say for 1 minute, and then use the other 3 minutes for a total of 4 to build his argument. Speaker 2 then on the pro side, say, has 4 minutes. The first minute will be used to rebut what speaker 1 on the con side has said, and ainsi de suite, and as the thing follows. When speaker 3 on the con side, oh, there's a spelling mistake here, finishes, then the whole thing goes back over here to speaker 1 for the pro side, because remember that speaker 1 only had 3 minutes, and he needs to be able, or she needs to be able, to wrap up their team's argument and to be able to rebut any speaker or all of them if she or he is good enough on the other side, on the con side. And so that's the actual dynamic of how the speakers go. Here's the debate rubric, and if you take a look here, I've got your I've reduced the normally your teachers would have 5 performance scales, and I've taken it down to 4, because honestly, performance level 1, well, no one's really going to be there. We don't expect anyone to be there. I don't actually expect anyone to be in the novice category. Most of you are going to fall somewhere in the apprentice and the practitioner, and some of you on some of the criteria might hit the expert. Well, you never know, maybe you'll all end up in the expert. I'm not going to try to predict that. But so here are the criteria: argument and structure. And so what I mean here, I'm not talking about the content, I'm talking about the form. And so the premise and how you are using the logic and the examples in your argument to build towards a logical and powerful conclusion. So we call that the structure of the argument. The content, so the content is, form and content. Content is important. What are you actually saying? What arguments and how relevant is the content that you're using to build your argument? Here, it's important, if you should be able to refer to material and ideas that you learned in class, as well as obviously what you've got on your Google Doc, on your Digo bookmark, but also bring in content from class when you can, and then a separate criteria for the examples and the support that you're using for your examples, and the use of rebuttal. Very important. And so all of this then will be recorded with the Smart Pen, and I will post the debate on the wiki, and we will be able to enjoy it for future years. And I hope that is helpful. If you have any questions, you can contact me and email me or flag me down in school, and we will have a great time debating. And that's it, folks.